Hi, guys.
Hello, everybody. It is Sunday night, a little bit after 8, but we're on Canadian time, which is
And
like,
we really did get on earlier, and then all of a sudden my laptop froze. So it was like, what fun is that? Nikki and tech.
I think they built a wall.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the
Somebody
Canadians
built a
like me
wall.
though. I have all
They
my
do.
moose mates here.
The moose, and the
Yes.
dots. You got the
And
dots.
that's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is the WNY report, the Western New York report. I still haven't heard a whole lot about all the wonderment of New York Cannabis Insider in Buffalo. What happened last week that we weren't really into that? Can you tell?
yeah. I don't even remember. Why didn't we talk about it?
I think we were talking about the Moy report.
Oh, that's right. That was very interesting,
Moy
juicy stuff.
report.
The old Moy report. Um, yeah, so the New York Canvas Insider event, great venue, great place. We had Roaring 420s on site with consumption.
Yeah, you
Uh,
had a rooftop, didn't you?
it was like an outdoor venue. It was beautiful. It was really awesome. I mean, it's called Riff City something, Riff City.
So
And it
sorry I
was
missed it.
Yeah, me too. It was really a good time. Lots of great people came, good speakers, good content. I mean, I love Brad Racino's events. They're just always top notch. They're always real and fun and, you know, I just really enjoy them always.
So, would you say that Brad is neutral?
Yes, I feel Brad presents both sides of the story. I don't feel he is biased or anti OCM or regulations or anything like that. I
Mm-hmm.
feel he tries to really get the true story, but and get the real facts and not listen to the noise.
Michael Woods McCausland says, "Boom, boom, boom." So welcome, Michael Woods McCausland. Um, so
That's a lot of name.
Yeah, I would say that that Brad is neutral. I mean, if he comes off or if New York Cannabis Insider comes off as negative, they're just reporting the news. Which we had plenty of news this week, didn't we?
We've had definite news this week. Why
So,
don't you share some of the deets?
well, Chris Alexander penned his sayonara letter to the governor saying that if he will well, good. Thank you so kindly. May your day be blissful or evening with moments of joy. I'm listening intently. Thank you, Michael Woods McCausland. So Chris Alexander wrote a letter to the governor. The governor had indicated that Chris's um, term would not be extended beyond September. So I had not previously realized that um, they were to serve 3-year terms, and Chris would be coming to the end of his 3 years. And so the governor, after the Jeanette Moy report, had said that no more Chris after his term is over with, which is different from firing somebody, right?
Right.
Fire somebody, you say, "Oh no, do not pass go, do not collect $200,
You're not
you're
allowed
gone."
to finish your term. Yeah.
Yeah, and given the fact that it was originally set out to be a 3-year term, the fact that he wasn't being extended isn't, I mean, he could have, yes, everybody would know, but then 5 years from now, would everybody know? Or if he were to move to, say, Iowa, would they know? Oh, they know a lot of things in Iowa. I think it's the ethanol that gets them.
Maybe. Maybe. All the grain.
Yeah, all those grains. But anyway, so Chris decided, at first he was going to push back, and at first there were LinkedIn is not really meant to be a gossip center. It's supposed to be business networking. But at least in New York cannabis, it has become my go-to, and I think the go-to for a lot of people to find out, what are most people saying. Now, not everybody is on LinkedIn. I guess you know that.
Right.
Like occasionally I show up at events and I say to somebody, "Well, are you on LinkedIn?" And they're like, "What's that?" Or, "No, I would never be on LinkedIn." Um, so I think that I think there were some people on LinkedIn who said that Chris was being treated unfairly, that it was racial, it was whatever. So I really kind of wondered if that might go anywhere. But, the governor can do what the governor wants. The governor had it within her power to say, "I'm not going to extend your contract. You're done." And so, and she didn't even really specifically call. Well, I guess it did come out that she said it was OCM was plagued by poor leadership, and so I guess that was kind of a diss. And inexperience, that was again kind of a diss. Um, so anyway, Chris this week, fairly late, was it Thursday or Friday?
I think it was Friday, or
I
maybe
think
it
it's,
was Thursday and the news broke
yeah,
Friday.
Friday of a holiday weekend, once again in New York cannabis. Um, Friday, it was circulated, his actual letter was circulated that he was going to bow out after 2 weeks. So he's basically turning in a 2-week notice. So the question in my mind, my mind thinks in a way that's a little bit different than other minds. But the question is, what's going to happen to licensing while we don't have somebody in that job? Or is the governor going to put somebody in? Maybe Jeanette Moy will temporarily be the head of, I guess he's Cannabis Control Board, right? Again,
No, he's Office of
he's
Campus
OCM.
Management.
Okay, so he's office.
Tremaine is the
Okay,
board
so I wonder, does that mean that no licenses can be issued if the Office of Cannabis Management is without a director, an executive director? Or can they just kind of rock and roll because they do have licensing departments? But that seems a little risky because who's like, where does
in
the buck
charge.
stop? Yeah,
Yeah.
where does the
Like,
buck stop?
I
So,
wonder if like they would put like Time Grill like in as second, you know, whoever second in command was. I wonder if they'll be the interim
yeah, I don't know.
guy
I don't know. And what I think Chris Alexander does need to feel good about is he was an advocate in the trenches, really pushing this through long before we got to MRTA. And then he was at the helm, and it, nobody could say that it's been an easy job.
No,
Nobody.
no.
And so I think that I wish he could feel better about it, but I guess if it were me, I would feel ways about it as well. I would take a nice long vacation, um, probably not in the country. But look at you, you're out of the country.
I know, but I'm with my moose mates. I love my
You're with your
Canadians.
moose maids.
Moose mates?
Do you know what I discovered down the street from me?
What?
An emu farm. There were like a dozen emus in the yard. Kind of like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They look kind of like a camel kind of thing without the hump.
No, they look more like an ostrich.
Oh.
So isn't it on it's one of the car insurance ads that uses an emu.
Oh, yeah, 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 like an
Right.
ostrich. I know
Yeah,
exactly
yeah, yeah.
the
So there's
his
like this yard,
Liberty
there's about 12 of them. They're just strutting around out there.
enforcing New York State cannabis. Um, but yeah, interesting. But yeah, I'm in Canada because I'm going to Grow Up tomorrow. The Grow Up conference and expo. There's lots of speakers tomorrow. I've been kind of embassing for them for the last couple months. just kind of sharing the events. And it's going to be right by the airport in Toronto. And I'm super excited. Had a great shopping day today, got lots of cool products. And I got to say, man, some of these joints here, these pre rolls, absolutely incredible tasting. And I just, they literally taste like grape or they literally taste like watermelon, like identical to it. Like
Oh,
you
really?
wouldn't know. Yeah, it's like
I
sick,
wonder how they do that.
awesome.
Is it like sprayed or something? What do you think?
No, no, it's terpene infused. Like so they infuse the terpenes, they just have the right mixture of them that just really are effective,
Well, I
in my
suppose
opinion.
we never have that in New York because I mean, Canada is so far away. It's like a completely different growing zone.
Dude, it's 15 minutes from me.
It's closer to where I am. There's a bridge. I keep seeing a sign, bridge
And you're like in the boonies so high that like that bridge has like one person staffed at it for
with the
Canadian and
emus.
US.
Maybe I
With
could put an emu in my car.
yeah, I probably not. Some livestock will probably nail you at the border.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, super cool products and really, the
interesting
pricing,
packaging.
great packaging. So guys, you got to see this, right? I don't know if it's gonna
So,
work, but
Nikki's got a thing for the dots because cannabis
cannabis
helps
connects
Nikki
my dots.
connect her dots. So she is thrilled. I think the audience needs oh, we needed a drum roll. Pot
Oh,
from the pot
pot
shop.
shop. Pot shop. And look at the dots, you guys. Is that cute as shit or what? And then it's got the name of the product is Cat Sitter. And legal Canadian cannabis with stickers and all that good stuff. I went a little nuts at my favorite store, Highland Cannabis in Waterloo, as I always do. They
But
remember me.
just so everybody knows, Nikki does not drive across the
Oh
border with
God,
her
no.
car.
I have a storage unit. I have a storage unit. For those who don't know, I was literally a medical cannabis refugee in Canada. And every other week I lived to come to Canada to get cannabis relief. And so Canada is very near and dear to my heart for that very reason. And I learned all about the plant here, all the different expos and events. I've got to meet so many amazing people. I just really respect the Canadian industry. And are there problems? Yeah, but there are everywhere. And like New York isn't exactly getting an A plus on their rollout either. So, are there issues? Yes. We're dealing with government. There will always be issues. It just depends how much we choose to accept and just play kumbaya with. Um, I literally try and be Switzerland. I try not to be too hardcore on one side or too hardcore on the other. Like I have my opinions and I don't expect everyone to agree with me, but at the same time, I'm not looking to start fights and, create bickering little spats about useless data. And Canada, for me, has provided me amazing relief from my traumatic brain injury symptoms. So, just mad respect. And I was able to journal that experience in an app here that had all the back end certificates of analysis. Certificates of analysis, for those who are watching and may not know, are the test reports from cannabis, for potency, terpenes, toxins, heavy metals, pesticides, things like that. While we're talking about all those things, Nikki here got a job with, yes, none other than certified testing and data. Yeah, baby. So I am the account representative for, or account executive, whatever you want to call me, the salesperson for CTND testing in Albany. And we do full panel testing in house. It is by far the biggest laboratory I've seen in the state for cannabis testing. An incredible team of people in Albany. We're hiring samplers as we're getting busier. And I'm their first salesperson. So I want to meet every grower and processor in the state. especially in the Western region, because that's really my focus territory is basically Syracuse West and South. So if anybody needs any lab testing, you reach out to Nikki Lawley, Nikki in the plant, and certified testing and data. Boom slay.
Hey, boom slay. I think MWM is going to depart from us. He was asking about Canada taking over the California cannabis agricultural industry, but I don't know if he's still there. Do
I
you
know
hear
he's
that
saying.
train?
I do hear that train. It's a very loud train.
Sorry, I have the
It's
window open.
okay.
It should pass soon. I don't know why they're tooting so much. Maybe
They
there's a moose
like
on the
to
track.
maybe moose on the track. I don't think you're in moose country, or are you?
Probably I am.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm in deer country. I'm in bison country.
Like live bison?
Yeah,
Stop it. Like roaming?
not roaming, but I saw people with bison on their.
Oh, well, that's different, bro. I thought you meant like there were bison roaming the independent fields,
No,
sister.
that's the train.
The train would have hit the bison. But,
So
oh, okay.
we have another big news event this week. A couple of them actually. So the DASNY loans. The governor
Mm,
came out and said, maybe those were predatory.
maybe, just maybe.
So Ruben and I had a few words about it, and a couple of other people that I work with had a few words about it because, at this point, it's a contract that people have signed. So unless the governor swoops in and somehow invalidates those contracts, which I think would have to go through the court, I'm not sure.
Hmm,
Or maybe the state would have to buy out those contracts or settle it with Chicago Atlantic. But the thing that's so frustrating is that lawyers and accountants were telling the state before any of these actually rolled out that they were what we knew about them was predatory. And of course, I say what we knew about them. We knew very little. We didn't even know the interest rate.
right.
Many people, and the other thing is we don't even know how many people signed on. I guess we could just cold call each of the dispensaries that are open and ask, did you take the DASNY money? I don't know if everybody would admit that. I guess a different way to ask it would be, can I ask you who did your build out? It's so beautiful.
Again, but why should we have to play that? Like,
We have to play
just,
that because these are state backed funds, right? And so the thing is, people have signed on to these things, and I was very aware of one situation where the build out was done, they were ready to open, they still hadn't signed.
hmm,
So and they had no idea what the interest rate was going to be. But
hmm.
the build out was done, the grand opening, the governor was going to be there, everything. They had no idea what the interest rate was going to be. And so how is that fair? I
Okay.
mean, like before you and I remember talking with a friend on the phone when Brad Racino was trying to get some information for a New York Cannabis Insider article, and so I was calling different friends and kind of, checking my understanding. And the thing is, in a credit card situation, or let's say a car loan situation, you must know the interest rate
Yeah.
before you even.
Before you even sign it, it goes into great detail that you're going to pay this much by the time you pay off your loan.
Yeah,
You paid 24,000, but at the end of the loan you paid really $32,500. Like that should be spelled out no matter what.
right. So there's that. And then I always wondered, because I do bankruptcy work, if they default, who is the main creditor? Like in a business bankruptcy where you do a restructuring, like a Chapter 11,
Hmm.
or no, yeah, a Chapter 11, or in a consumer situation, a Chapter 13, you're paying back a portion of the debt over 5 years, or it depends on a Chapter 11. So, but it goes by priority of creditor, which is why you want, if you lend somebody money, you want to be higher up on the priority list in case they go broke.
Right.
So we could not find out, well, is Chicago Atlantic a priority creditor or
Mm.
what? And the other things that were ridiculous were, like I see it's getting dark on my screen. Um, that's a little bit better, right? If you, um, let's say you have a rental house, a rental property, and you go in and you say, "Oh, I'm going to replace the roof. I'm going to replace the carpeting, and I'm going to replace the refrigerator." You list those items separately in your tax return because each of those items that I stated has a different depreciation schedule. And so you're getting a tax break back, on each one at a different rate and different length of time. So you might say, "Oh, Paula, come now. There's no deduction or credit." So that would include depreciation. But really? Because we know that 280E is about to go away, in which case we can take deductions or credits. And so we would need to put all of that in motion now so that we would know, like let's say it takes 2 years for 280E to go away. Well, we would need to be 2 years into that depreciation schedule by then. Does that make sense? But the way the state has set it up, or the way Chicago Atlantic has set it up, it's all one big blob. It's this 1 point however many million note, as if you bought a house for that amount of money, and that's it. You can't depreciate. There's no line item like the counters cost this much. The
I see
the
what you mean. I see what you mean now. All right. I needed that extra little. I get it now.
okay. So
You know
and it
me.
always
I
it
didn't.
always puts me in the mindset of, you remember a few years ago when it was just determined that the Pentagon was charging like $5,000 for a toilet seat, and
Yeah. You mean the Pentagon was being charged five
yeah,
thousand
yeah,
dollars
yeah,
for
it
a
was
toilet? Yeah. Yeah.
paying.
Yeah.
So it almost seems like that, like what,
Right.
and you figure
Right.
all the stuff that goes into a new dispensary, like even the iPads and the cash register stuff, like that would depreciate at a different on a different schedule than like the display cases.
Cases. Right. 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 Makes total sense. And yeah, it seems like somebody's not really thinking outside the box there.
They're not thinking like business people. They're thinking like, I don't know what they're thinking.
Predatory lenders.
So I don't know how they're going to unwind it now that they've set. And that, what annoys me is, where are the people that were so in favor of this fund? Like some of our elected officials who were so
Gung ho.
gung ho about this. Are they willing to say, "Gee, we did
Made a
not have all the
mistake.
information. We made a mistake, and let us help these business owners extract themselves from these onerous transactions." It's terrible.
Right.
And the other thing is, when some of these were inked, it's like some of them were inked between injunctions. Um, and everybody thought that I'm going to open a dispensary and my profits are going to be $3 million for the year. And I think a few shops are going to do that, or more than that. But a lot of the shops are not. And so when they were taking on these notes, it seemed like, oh yeah, for sure I'll be able to pay that back. Well, now guess what? It's really hard. And it costs a lot of money to hire the accountants to sort through all of the reporting that has to be done in order to comply with the monthly or quarterly reporting?
Yeah, it's a lot. And it's people don't know what they don't know, but like how you
Right.
broke that down makes a lot of sense. But to the average consumer or the average brand new dispensary owner who's never really gotten a business loan or anything like that, and these are justice impacted individuals. So, maybe they aren't like bookkeepers, accountants, legal background. Like I wouldn't know that stuff whether I'm justice impacted or not. Like I would need to hire an expert such as yourself to sort through that. But
Ta-da.
if me as the new startup sees all this money going out and 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 out, and it's all this sort of unwritten detailed note, and they don't have a Paula Collins looking over them, literally it's pretty predatory. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Oh,
like I
totally.
I would have for sure signed that, just not knowing or knowing any better, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to get better lighting.
You're fine.
I'm fine. I'm fine. So that happened. So the DASNY note. Ooh, that's a little too much.
That's a little too much. Yeah, you looked better before.
So the DASNY note, and I say it happened. It really hasn't happened. It's going to be discussed, we think, by the governor and others. Um, so then the other thing is the David Tully case. We got news on that one. You know,
Which one's that one? Give me a little rewind.
that's the guy who had the many unlicensed shops.
Oh yeah, the guy that owes like $1.5 million or something, or
15. 15.
$15 million, right?
Yeah, and he was quoted in, I think it was the Rochester News, like on the news. He was quoted as saying, it's laughable. Like, why nobody's ever going to pay that back? Like, and it's
Yeah.
true. He's not going to pay that back.
No. And now what's he supposed to do to make his money? Not that like he's never going to get legal now.
Yeah, and they said a lifetime bar on getting a cannabis license in New York.
I believe it.
So,
Which I mean, I the enforcement thing that's coming down the pike, I don't think people see it. I mean the writing's there, but we've heard this before, right? And like it wasn't being done to the level.
yeah, I mean, I have to say, and I can't give away too many details on cases, but the challenge is the due process issue. So they come in, they close up your store. And, I was in a kerfuffle because I thought there was a cat. Was there really a cat? I don't know about the cat. And now another guy is saying there's a cat that's in my shop. I don't know if there's a cat. He's going to have to work that out with the precinct. But it happens really fairly quickly that they tell the people they have to get out and they have to go away. Then the officers, whether they're sheriff or NYPD or what have you, they spend really a couple of hours there doing God knows what. And then they padlock, and if it's one of those shops where you pull down the gate, they lock that, and they put the signage on the gate, which never has made sense to me in all of this because somebody's going to come along and pull that off. But now the challenge is getting the hearings. Now we've heard that a few people are getting their cases dismissed because of procedural errors. So like when you're given a violation, there are certain things that have to be on it, like what is the potential fine, the date, the officer's name, and it has to be served properly on somebody who is in a position to make decisions about the business or who gives the outward appearance of being in control of the business. So like if they walk in and it's just one dude sitting there behind the counter, they can reasonably assume that this person has decision-making abilities, even if that person is really only a clerk. Um, so we've heard of a few cases, actually. I've heard of one case, and I've only heard about it. I've not seen the paperwork, where um, the case was dismissed because they did not follow procedure. Everybody else, to my knowledge, we're all waiting for a hearing.
Well,
Unless there's a lawyer out there who's having better success. And, I think that I have some good arguments to reopen. And what we really want is for the business owner to be able to reopen and retain their interest in the lease and reopen as a grocery store or convenience store, which is what a lot of them were before they went down this whole cannabis pathway. Um, some people have argued quite sincerely to me that they had to begin to sell cannabis, even though they were a convenience store, because everybody around them was selling cannabis and their business was lapsing. And so it was just a business decision. They don't even smoke, they don't even like cannabis. But, if everybody is selling, I don't know, um, Kit Kat candy bars and you don't have Kit Kat candy bars,
they're going to go somewhere else.
they're going to go somewhere else. So that might be a bad. What are the little dunking sticks? No, the little eggs. What are the little eggs called? You've seen them. I've
Like Cadbury eggs?
No, I'll find it. But can't believe I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, doesn't matter. But I don't know where. So this brings me to the real question of the show. We're what, 40 minutes in, 37 minutes in, and we're to the main question. Kinder eggs. Thank you, Lisa Newton. You nailed it. You get the prize. We should give you a Kinder egg.
Kinder egg. Okay, I had no clue what the hell you were
Or the
talking about.
golden egg. Wow, Lisa Newton is right on top of it.
Lisa, you want to know about Lisa Newton? Let me just give you a heads up on Lisa Newton.
Oh no.
No, Lisa's awesome. Lisa started with me well, she was already working in filtration, but when I owned my own HVAC company, filtration company, she was like my right, left, and center hand. She did like everything for me. She was the best assistant ever. And she's continued. This woman never forgets my birthday. Never, ever, 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 ever,
I
ever.
can't even remember my own.
But she has been such a loyal human in my life forever. And I mean, she's not in the cannabis business, but here she is watching our show. You know what I'm
And she
saying?
saved the day with the Kinder
With
eggs.
the Kinder egg. She did.
Right. Thank you, Lisa Newton. Maybe I'll get to meet you one day. Um,
She's in the Jamestown area where Thomas Spanos is.
oh, okay.
There you go.
So let's see. The main question is, where do we see any of this going in 3 years or 5 years?
Oh, shit, Paula. 3 to 5 years? Come on, girl. Let's just try and do 3 months.
Well, 3 months, I don't see much different. I think we're still going to have people on pins and needles like, am I going to get approved today? That's the question. People are like obsessively checking their email. And then I say, no, you have to check New York Cannabis Express, New York Business Express,
Business Express. Mm-hmm.
and you got to bounce it back and forth. I've got one client that can't remember what email address we wrote in. And it's like, just check them all. Check every email you've ever had.
I mean,
And check the spam also.
yeah, yeah, and the junk. Um, but yeah, it's really sad how much people have on the line, and they're literally resorted to this archaic system of notification. How is it that I get specials of cannabis from Michigan like every third day on my text messages, and we can't create some kind of text messaging system for the owner of these businesses to like hey, check your email because we got good news for you or we got bad news for you. Whatever, just check your
There
emails.
has
You
been
have
a
a
change in
cannabis.
your New York cannabis
There
license
you go. There
status,
you go.
in your
There you go.
application. There's new information in your application portal.
So
Why
do
can't they
it.
just
Do
email
it
it?
in the email and text. Do
I
both.
really hate New York Business Express.
You've
And I
voiced your
hate it.
concerns about that.
I have.
Yeah, you hate it.
Well, I've never really voiced item by item my concerns about it, but
Okay, but no, you've said it's a total shit show. Like it's a total
I
you
would
get
never
kicked
say that.
out.
I would call
No.
it a fecal exhibition.
Okay, well that's pretty graphic. But
Let me introduce you to the pigs on the other side of the street.
but yeah, legit. Yeah, it's just a thing.
Okay,
So,
so speaking of a thing, I'm living in this very rural area.
yes.
We heard the train go by. Pretty soon we'll hear the Amish carts go by, and they clop 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 and they go like really really fast. But if you go to the Stewarts, do you know what Stewarts is?
Isn't it like a little store, like a farm store kind of thing,
Yeah.
like a grocery
No,
store maybe?
it's like it's like if you were from a certain era, we had Stuckey's. So it's a gas station and they've got
Oh.
ice cream and pizza and horrible, horrible nutrition food and like processed foods and canned foods and some people, I guess, but the groceries are actually pretty expensive. You wouldn't want to grocery shop there,
Mm.
but they also sell crickets for you to eat. They are packaged up like little mints.
No.
I'm not kidding you. I don't know if I
No.
I don't know if I can show a photo. I took a photo.
That's
Yeah.
disgusting.
And then they also have scorpion lollipops.
I've seen the scorpion lollipops, but I've never heard of the cricket mints.
No, they're not mints. They're
Oh.
packaged like mints.
Oh,
But
okay.
here's my point, and here's the relevance to our discussion. Are those
Oh.
crickets tested? And you know what? They package them so that you can see the crickets. Like we could not package New York cannabis that way.
Yeah, no. I see the relevance.
You
But
see the relevance.
I do see the relevance. And Canadian cannabis is not like it's got to be disguised. Like it's got to be in a whole thing. Like,
Complete with polka dots.
but yeah, like this is terp gush, and so in the head of the joint they have a terp ball, and it infuses the joint with blueberry.
That's amazing.
Sick, right? And
So
then they've got these other ones like jungle cake. This is jungle cake. Yeah, baby. But like everything has the most complex, crazy labeling ever. It's very difficult to really understand because, first of all, if you don't speak French, you're screwed for part of it. But
it, do you speak French?
hell no.
Oh,
I say the F word. That's about as French as I get.
is that French?
I don't
Way.
know. Okay. But this one does give you the terpenes on it, so that's good. So Montreal Cannabis has taken the next step to go with the terp thing, but like their milligrams are just weird and stuff. I still haven't figured them out. I'm not gonna lie, because it's totally different than US labeling. But what's so cool is if I'm in Ontario or if I'm in British Columbia, I can get cannabis like shipped to me, delivered by the mail service. Why? Because it's federally legal for the whole fucking country. And that right there is something that is such a luxury that many of my moose mates can't even begin to appreciate. So I'm staying with my friend Sabrina, and we're literally talking about, the US and cannabis and New York, and she's like, "Yeah, but like, why don't you guys just get stuff from California and Colorado?" And I'm like, "We can't cross state." She's like, "Oh my God, that's right." Like, cuz she's in cannabis, but she's not like, I mean, it's been a while, right? Like, I mean, she's in it, but like, she is a researcher and does a lot with psychedelic research, a lot with cannabis research at one time, and now she's into pharma research. But like, she just can't even comprehend that like you can't go, because she's like, well, like there's lots of companies in New Jersey, why don't you just get stuff from New Jersey? I'm like, you can't, even though it's the tri-state area, like
Well, what's really awkward is like where my apartment is in the city. You go down the street 2 blocks, turn left, and you're at the PATH train, which takes you directly to New Jersey. So, like, I could, and it's for $2.75. Like,
oh
I
my
could
God.
be in New Jersey faster than I could be in Harlem. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So your
Think
friend,
about that.
yeah, I know. Lisa Newton asks, and this is regarding the French. She
uh,
says, use Google Translate, Nikki.
Google Translate. uh
Translate.
Translate, yeah.
So what else happened this week in New York cannabis? I feel like I'm missing something else. There
Well,
was
we got the big Revelry Buyers Club coming up on the 30th. I
Brew
think that's
on the
that day
Rebel, and that is
on
a
the
huge
Revel.
event. That is a
Huge event
such a
that
huge event that yeah, get there, get your ticket.
if
Oh,
you can,
you can't get a ticket.
if you can, get that
It's a
ticket.
buyers club, by the way.
Yeah, the
So
Buyers Club.
so let's talk about what that means. That means that it's not really designed for the shopping like what you've been doing. It's designed so that buyers, like dispensary owners, can
Can
interact
connect with
with,
the brands,
or with like a manufacturer could connect with a
a,
cultivator.
a grower, correct.
So,
Or a testing lab can connect with a cultivator or processor.
are you gonna go and work?
I'm working, baby. I
Working
gotta
it.
I gotta tell all my peeps in processing and cultivation. There's a new testing chick in town. Boom Slake. Look
Boom
out.
Slay is right. I think you're gonna do very well
I
because
think I'm
it's
gonna
all
like
about
it.
forming relationships, and you're very good at networking.
Well, I just really believe in the science of the plant, and I feel that testing is such a vital part of it, that people can literally understand the plant so much better with great COAs. And I gotta say, CTND's COA, wicked beautiful, really easy to understand, broken up really nice little graph.
See, I think
And
you're secretly Canadian on us.
what do you mean?
I think you really like the way they do things on that side of
I
the.
do. I do. And it's what taught me what works and why. And that's what I think we're missing in the States. I feel that there's too much of an emphasis on THC when that's just one component of the plant. That's like the last thing I shop by. Can I just tell you that? I don't care if it's high THC. I care about the terpene profile. I care about the chemicals that are actually helping with the medicinal benefits for myself and my symptoms. But instead, even the bud tender today, she's a great human, love her at Highland. She's like, oh, and this one's really high THC. I'm like, girlfriend, I'm the girl that doesn't care about the high THC, remember? And she she's like, oh yeah, that's right. But just as a side note, but she's so used to people coming in shopping for high THC that it's such a false evaluator of the plant. And if more people would take a note in cannabis testing and understand the different medicinal effects, like on my little terpene card that I share from the Amazing Flower with my business card on it, hoo ha, hoo ha, um, it would really help people pick the right strains based on the symptoms they're seeking relief from.
Do you have
But
one of those
it's,
cards to show us? Do you have one
I
handy? I love your
don't
card.
have one handy. I don't have one handy. I shouldn't speak of
That
it,
is
but
unusual for you.
well, I mean, it's in my purse, like way over. I'm staying at
Uh,
Sabrina's house. There's nothing like, it's
oh,
not my
that's true.
usual
You're
desk.
out of
It's
your.
not my desk.
You're
So,
not in your like moose cave.
no, I'm not in the moose cave at all. I'm definitely at a moose mate's cave. That is, doesn't have all my accessories present, but I have Canadian pot with me. So
Okay.
that's something I don't
Hot.
usually have in the US.
Hot.
Pot. Pot.
Okay, there's one other significant thing that we're not talking about. Should we talk?
What?
Not that what you're talking about isn't significant. The Farm Bill and its impact on hemp,
Oh, yeah.
which get out your science book and try to understand like what's going on with it.
They're basically banning all extra
So,
cannabinoids from the hemp plant.
so is that fair?
I don't think so. But I
Because I
don't
mean,
think they understand the plant enough to be able to differentiate it enough. That's why it's just so ridiculous. You know, hemp and cannabis, hemp and marijuana are both cannabis. Little trivia there, guys. And I don't know, like, how can regulators create these stupid laws or these misinformation type laws that really don't make any sense, you know?
well, my heart goes out to the people who started legitimate businesses really firmly believing that they're okay because they've researched it and they know what the law is, and so here they are. But then they find out, no, it's really not okay.
Yeah. I mean, big problem. And, you know, there's been so many loopholes, right? Like, and people try and take advantage of the loophole. I mean, I literally had an attorney, like a very, very, very prominent cannabis attorney, say to me, well, just go to the Delta 8 route and Delta 9 route from hemp. And
Mm-mm.
I'm like,
But that's
no.
now all been made illegal.
Well, that's all been made illegal. But like 3 years ago, when I talked to this dude, it was like sort of an unknown kind of thing. It wasn't like people weren't talking about it like that. You know, they weren't transforming other cannabinoids from the hemp plant. They weren't as focused on that. You know, it was just CBD. I mean, we've come
Mm-mm.
so far
We
in
have.
5 years. I mean, I think of, you know, the day I was introduced to the plant and using it for medicine, how far we've come. I mean, what's funny is the Grow Up conference that I'm going to tomorrow and Tuesday are, it was the first event I ever attended in Ontario in
Oh, wow.
2018. The Grow Up one. Yeah. It was in Niagara Falls, the first one, but this one's in Toronto. But you know, it's so cool to see the progression and see people that you kind of started with, you know, in the journey, or they were, you know, maybe a little more seasoned than me, but just seeing how their company has evolved and seeing, you know, what they're doing now. And, you know, I was disabled, friends. Like, to get a job in the industry, to be well enough to get a job in the industry, I think it's a pretty damn big achievement, you know? And as much as it sucks to get rid of disability and, you know, that security net, I'm going to bust my butt doing this and do everything I can to be a success so that I can feel good and give people hope and show them like you can literally be disabled and this plant can help you get to the point where you can function well enough to get become gainfully employed, you
That's
know? And that's really a thing. And I don't think we talk about that stuff enough. And like the people that are in this industry aren't all shady douchebags. You know, there are some really, really genuine, good people that have found this plant and it has healed them and given them an opportunity that they never would have had without this plant. Paula, I would not be speaking to you today if it wasn't for
Oh, I
this plant.
know. And you and I have talked about how in the 3 years that I've known you, you have you've connected your dots.
And it's truly based on the strain I consume. It's based on that terpene profile. Every cannabis does not affect me the same. And when you can identify that and know what you want to help with your pain, know what you want because you're feeling a little blue, know what you want because you need to get some damn sleep, know what you want because you're in so much pain that you can't function. So when you get that idea of what to take, I mean, like now we use, you know, Tylenol for a 4 hour pain relief, but we know Motrin works a little better and it lasts a little longer. And then we have Aleve, which that just kind of is a totally different than the other two. So, but these are all kind of for pain, but they affect each one of us differently. And
Hmm.
so different terpenes and compounds in the plant will affect each one of us differently. So what works for me for sleep might not work for you, and it might keep you up all night. So until you try, you don't know. But when you try and you document and you actually read that COA and understand what's in it, and then like evaluate it like an hour later, half hour later, and then like 4 hours later and see how you feel. If it took care of that problem you were having, that pain or that, anxiety, whatever, then that's a strain that you try and purchase again.
So there's that thing that we say, go low, go slow. And
Start
so
low, go slow.
start low, go slow. Sorry.
Okay.
So this week we had a headline that hit, I think it hit New York Times or one of the mainstream papers, um, that said that more and more seniors are ending up in the emergency room because of what they perceive as being a cannabis overdose. First of all, a cannabis overdose doesn't really happen, but I think what they perceive is that they're just so disoriented and so, the room is spinning and their heart starts racing because they're anxious.
Hmm.
And I've witnessed this in an elder in my life, and I'm glad that I was there. But she didn't take my advice, and she not only she like quadrupled what I suggested she start with because she
I
started,
know all about that.
yeah. And so fortunately I was there to like just stay with her and talk to her and give her lots of water and tell her, just try to go to sleep. Because when you wake up, it'll be better. But
Peppercorns are the best thing. Chew on a peppercorn, high sugar will bring it down, and of course, CBD would counteract the effects of too high.
I've got to remember that. I should write that down somewhere. But the main thing is, if you went to the ER, I doubt they would give you a peppercorn.
No, they wouldn't. They'd send you home with paperwork of how to reduce your drug abuse.
Or they would send you home with like an opioid, probably.
Nah, no, not an opioid. Or
No,
an
because they would ask you, why did you take this? Oh, well, I have chronic.
okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, maybe, but they probably wouldn't because they label them as a drug seeker because they were using cannabis. So most likely an opiate would not be prescribed.
So
Um,
I was very sad that that headline was circulating because
yeah,
I,
it's one sided. It's clickbait. Like if we had $1 for everything that's clickbait on the negativity of cannabis, I mean, I'd be a rich woman. Seriously, it
I
is
thought you were rich.
ridiculous.
You had $1 million
I'm
for
rich in
dots.
spirit.
Oh.
I
Mhm.
long. I just
You're
Try to
rich with
exist.
family and friends.
Rich with family and friends and pets,
And pets, which are not locked up.
which pets are not locked up and they have freedom. And I
Just like
love my
you.
Yorkies so much. I mean, my three favorite things, Paula: moose, cannabis, and polka dots. Yeah, baby.
And
Yeah.
Yorkies are there somewhere.
Yorkies and Siberian forest cats, right there with it. You'd love Moose Cat. You're gonna have to meet Moose one day.
I will. I will. Well,
Well, guys, it's that time.
so I hope
So,
everybody got something out of this, and we'll see you next week when surely there will be more news in Western New York cannabis. But
yeah,
for now,
baby.
we're signing off on the WNY report.
Bye bye. See my moose mate set grow up tomorrow.